Welcome back to the third and final installment of our garden well project. If you happen to miss the first two, you don't want to start with the ending, and you can go ahead and click the links you see below, and that will let you go to whatever parts you've missed. And also you will see there the link to how we tuned up our well pump to make it perform better. In this part, all the hard stuff's done. We are down to pumping it. Now, I actually did the packing of the casing in the last video, so really, all that's left is to squirt us a little water on the ground. Hopefully. Now we're getting ready to drop that top cap that I made. As you can see, I cut out the center hole for the pipe coming up. Here I'm just sawing off my black pipe at about the right height. And I nipped the edge of that cap so that the bucket could sit down flat. Really not much to producing that. You can mount however you'd like to mount, or the pump itself would screw directly to the top of your pipe with no mounting at all. After tightening up the hose clamp, by the way, softening with the torch, much easier to do after that, it's time to bolt the pump down to the top of the cap. I will go ahead and actually screw the cap to the top of the casing a little later. This is all sort of test fitting or whatnot. And the mounting on this pump is weak. Very, very weak. But hopefully we can make it work, at least for a while. Or until you find out the other problem the pump has. Priming the pump simply entails pouring a little water in that top basin. Now, every pump will have to be primed. That's why they used to keep a cup or a jug full of water alongside. However, it rapidly becomes clear that something is not working quite right with this pump. That should have been enough to prime it, and yet it wasn't. So, what we discovered, unfortunately, is there is a flaw, a defect in my cheap pump. Surprise, surprise, surprise.
The pump is leaking at that fitting. So now the whole thing has to go apart and see if we can find a way to seal that fitting. But it's just these two bolts right here. And it's because the pump, yeah, it's pretty cheap. See that crack? That's what's wrong with it. It's just cheaper than I thought it was. I think it's primarily a decorative item that's sold as a functional item, but it's not really a functional item. I'm going to go ahead and silicone that crack. Then I'm going to put a hose clamp up in around side that to reinforce the outer lip. And I think if I can just pinch it together, there's no real stress on this, so if I can pinch it together and get that silicone to harden and dry in there, it'll still function, I think. It's not pretty, but then you can't really see it, so I siliconed it and then used a strip of inner tube and a hose clamp as a backer just to give it some support. So in theory the silicone will hold it, but this just reinforces that a little. Let's put it back together and find out if it works.
You will need to pump a fair bit of water out in order to clean your well. In fact, it might put up a little bit of silty water every single time you fire it up the first time. But you just strain it through your teeth, the way they did in the old days. Just part of the joy of the well. Besides, it's fun. Go make a mess in your yard. If you can accomplish it, this is one of those immensely satisfying projects. How useful it'll be, gosh, I don't know. But it works, and it works because of the effort you yourself put in. We don't often lose our power, and even if we lose our power, we have city water, so we have pressure, for many, many hours after power is gone. But there's a sense of accomplishment, I guess, that comes with filling up a jug with muddy water and handing it to your 4-year-old so he can water your wheelbarrow, which I didn't know at the time he was doing. By the way, that is about the world's heaviest wheelbarrow right now, if anyone would come and help me empty it.
Well, it works. You can hear the hiss. Hear it? That piece promptly blew out. But this was never about whether or not the pump worked. This was about drilling a water well for a pump. And clearly, we have succeeded. It'll pump dirty water for quite some time. You didn't expect it to come out of the ground clean the first time, did you? It really depends on how much silt is in your land. Still need to attach the collar to the pipe, but since I have to take the whole thing apart anyways and completely redo it, there really is no reason for me to do that right now. I'm gonna have to see if I can source new parts. Maybe the stands are kind of universal. I want to say they are fairly universal. Seems like I've seen them around. This is the part that freezes and breaks, so there's a lot of those kicking around in attics and barns and stuff. So I'll have a crack at finding one that isn't quite so crappy. Other than that, there is one completely functional, hand pumped, hand dug water well.
Do I see water in your hair, babe? How did you get water in your hair?
Because making on the duck pond so hardly.
Making a duck pond. Just making a lake in the wheelbarrow I gotta take care of later. Daddy's not a fan of your duck pond, bud.
Daddy.
Apparently Mommy's losing some steam.
Yeah, you gotta work out.
Daddy. Hey, Mom.
What single item was more important to the homesteaders than clean, drinkable water? This was quite a project, and it was quite a bit of fun. Please understand your local laws and ordinances before you start. You want call before you dig so you don't hit something underground you really wish you hadn't hit. And enjoy it. Enjoy the satisfaction that comes from watering your garden, from water you pump yourself. The satisfaction from living off the land. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. And as always, thank you very much for watching.